FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
Right now, I realize he just left a fundraiser, and I hope that it's because it was over, because we understand fundraisers are important right now. Congressman Todd Akin, who again was in the headlines yesterday because the deadline passed, he said he's staying in, and interestingly enough, now other people are following Newt Gingrich back in to the MO Sen race. Congressman Akin, good afternoon to you.
Hey, Dana, it's great to join you this afternoon.
So are you surprised? You have said all along, and you hedged your bet, that everyone who said they were going to get out of this race, that they were going to come back in right when the deadline passed. Newt Gingrich, he was back. Well, he never really left. He had been saying this. Now Jim DeMint has, about 4 hours ago, he issued support for you.
Jim and also Rick Santorum both.
Yes.
They're both on board. And they said they're going to try to get in to Missouri together. We just have to work the scheduling through on that.
Excellent. And now this article published about a half hour ago from the Washington Post, the National Republican Senatorial Committee has issued a statement clarifying their support for you in the Senate race, and they're suggesting that they may be spending money to help your campaign, that they're going to be, quote, monitoring this race closely in the days ahead. Have you talked to anyone from the NRSC?
Not specifically. I talked to Roy Blunt yesterday, and he is officially supporting us now. So that was good. That was as of 5 o'clock, a little after 5 yesterday. I don't know anything about money from them. I think DeMint is going to help us out. We also got $250,000 from somebody else, and I don't know who it was, that went to a super PAC somewhere. And actually, we're not supposed to know much about that, but somebody gave a pretty good chunk of change, too. Right.
Well, that's and the funds are coming in, because the way that I look at this, Congressman, I look at the last poll that was taken. Well, the RCP average, the Real Clear Politics average, has you only behind McCaskill by 5 points. Now, in Missouri, where her unfavorability is so unbelievably high, where people have just absolutely gone against her policies, that's a gap that can easily be closed. So my perspective is, Congressman, that this race is the RNCs and the NRSCs to lose if they don't want to get involved, because it's a winnable race, even more so than some of these other Senate races. What's your perspective on that?
Well, Dana, I think you're absolutely right. This is something that's not only winnable. The two most recent polls that we've seen, one had me up 5, another one 3.6 points. Of course, the poll that counts is the one in November. But you think about it logically, how many people are going to go to the poll and vote for Romney and then switch over and vote for McCaskill? I just don't think that's going to happen very much. Romney's going to take the state by storm. So I think this is something that we're in a very, very strong place on it. And one other thing that was a little bit indicated along the same line, I had my first debate with Claire McCaskill on Friday. I thought that she was going to be very well-behaved and polite, the way she had been with Jim Talent. Instead, she came out of the box in the first 2 minutes just like a cat on fire. And so it said to me that she's very much threatened. I got the impression that maybe she was trying to get me all in one debate or something. But we just went back and forth and basically showed we didn't agree with each other. I didn't agree with her on the Obamacare. She knew 71% of voters didn't want it. She voted for it anyway. The stimulus bill with all of the special little deals that the stimulus bill was full of, that she voted for. Of course, the Second Amendment, people haven't given that much consideration, but Dana, as we get around the state, people love our Constitution and they love the Second Amendment. And I have an A rating from the NRA. She's at F. So all of those things to me say Claire is in trouble, and I think the debate performance on her part indicated that she felt threatened.
Yes. Well, and Emily's List apparently has been, who's her biggest donor this election cycle. Emily's List has been sending out some emails. I've had a couple of people forward me some things, and it sounds as though Emily's List is very, very nervous because McCaskill I think they were hoping that everything that happened was basically just going to just end your campaign and shut it all up, and this seat was going to stay blue. But her unfavorability is so high, and that's the story that no one's talking about. That's the headline. Her unfavorability is so high in Missouri, and so many of the things that she has rubber stamped on behalf of President Obama have been rejected by voters. There is no way to spin or to fight that. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier, and I was going to ask you, Congressman, whether or not this topic came up in the debate, the stimulus, for instance. The senator was a big supporter of the stimulus, and apparently she and her husband benefited from nearly $1 million of stimulus funds that went to projects that they have. Did that come up in the debate at all?
That did not come up in the debate, Dana. I think that you're really on some cutting-edge information there. And we did see a pattern, though, that's sort of interesting. First of all, well, I'm just sort of about a 50% average kind of voter. Well, my point was, look, you voted with Barack Obama 98% of the time. It takes guts to tell people that you're a center-of-the-road kind of voter. Well, we got a budget out of the Senate. Well, the trouble is you didn't get a budget out of the Senate,
right.
and the parliamentarian in the Senate called what you're calling a budget not a budget. So that takes some guts to, with a straight face, claim you have a budget when you haven't had a budget for 1,200 days. And then there's all of this offensive stuff about earmarks and everything, as though she's some sort of protector of the public purse. And I'll tell you what, I will put my conservative, tight-fisted spending record up against not only the Republicans, but against Claire McCaskill any day of the year. And all of Obama's big spending packages, Claire is right there championing the bill. And, of course, the stimulus bill is one of them. Obamacare is another. And then, of course, you got the bailouts and things like that as well. So you're right, Dana. You're absolutely right. That's a very hot issue. I think it's going to get hotter too. I do.
I think so. This I was reading the Huffington Post, which I'm not really likely to do, but within just minutes after the deadline passed yesterday, Claire McCaskill came out with an ad against you, and then they dropped. Which I honestly, Congressman, I was oversold on this. They came out with all their oppo that they published on Huffington Post, and I'm thinking, man, this is maybe the congressman has some skeletons in his closet. And I went and I read this so-called oppo that they say that they had on you. And for instance, they're shocked because you don't agree with them on climate change. Oh my gosh, that's such a shocker. Or you question the constitutionality of Medicare. I mean, they think apparently that it's extreme to be for limited government, which if we look at all of the latest polls on Missouri, I guess that the McCaskill campaign is suggesting that the people who agree with you, the majority of likely voters in Missouri, that they're extreme as well.
Well, I think, you just about have to come to that conclusion, Dana. As I said, if you go around and take a look at the difference of our voting record, go around Missouri, and you know the state, Dana. What do you think in terms of Second Amendment rights? And she's against concealed carry, and I've got an A from the NRA.
Right.
Does that make me out of the mainstream or in the mainstream? Obamacare, we already got that. 71% people said they didn't want that. And then you got the Wall Street bailout, the stimulus bill, which is full of all of these pork special deals. You got the increase of the death tax going from $5 million exemption down to $1 million. That's what she's voted for. She voted to give the EPA the authority to regulate carbon. I mean, it's item after item. And I just can't imagine any audience in Missouri that's going to be able to take a look at her voting record and come up with anything other than she and Obama are just plain joined at the hip.
Yes, well, very much so. And she has been back to 2010, 2011. She voted with him pretty much virtually the entire time. And
98%, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the big things as well, and I know you and I have discussed this, we've been looking at on energy especially. That's where she and President Obama are one and the same on in terms of energy. And here, when you think that over 80% of our energy in Missouri comes from coal, and she's on the record as saying, quote, I hate coal, and she rubber stamps the agenda of a president who has said, quote, I want to bankrupt the coal industry. That doesn't bode well for thousands of blue-collar jobs and jobs, union jobs as well, that she says she's for but is voting against. That's going to be a little difficult for her to reconcile.
Dana, think about Obama's his promise that he's not going to raise taxes on anybody making less than $250,000. And then he comes up with a way to basically tax your electricity, so anybody who flips a light switch is going to be taxed with Obama. I mean, talk about saying one thing and doing something else. And the foolishness. I mean, America has the energy resources to make us an energy exporter. We've got a lot of coal, probably the second most coal of any nation in the world, tremendous supplies of natural gas and oil. And there is absolutely no reason other than the Democrat Party that we should not have an aggressive energy policy leading us out of the recession that we've been dumped into by Obama.
Yes. Well, this is going to shape up to be, this is already a very interesting Senate race. And like I said, I think the 5-point gap is something, especially when, you had mentioned the leadership, the lead that the ticket has here in Missouri. The RCP average has Romney over 7 points above Obama here in Missouri. And there's just no way that people who rejected Obamacare by 76% with Prop C and rejected other McCaskill policies aren't going to go for red in the Senate come November. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I tell you, Dana, we're getting around the state. A lot of different counties walk up to some fairgrounds area where there's picnic tables and a roof and everything, and you get 150 people. They start standing and cheering before I get a chance to say a word. I think the show me state has been offended by an attempt for people to try to slip something over in the election process. And I believe that a lot of people are saying, you know what, it's a good thing Congressman Akin just stood up and did the right thing. And, the thing that's interesting was that this is not the first time this has happened in Missouri. Newt pointed this out to me the other day, and that is in 1940, Harry Truman got on the wrong side, and the Democrat Party, the party bosses in St. Louis and Kansas City, he had a driver in a car. He drove all over the state and told people, which do you want it to be? You want to be run by the city party bosses, or do you want to have me running things? Mm-hmm. And Harry Truman ran away with that election, which then turned to use a similar kind of strategy when he won the presidency in 48. So that was fascinating. A different political party, but an attempt by a party to try and pull a fast one on the public, and people just aren't buying it, Dana.
No, no one's buying it, and everyone's getting involved in this race, and we'll watch the NRSC as well to see what they do in the coming days. Congressman Todd Akin, we'll be talking to you again soon, and you're in it, and in to win MO Sen.
Hey, I tell you what, I am so thankful for you and getting the news out there and letting conservatives know what's going on and where the battle is and where the guns are being fired.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk to you again soon, Congressman. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dana.
Take care.